we Western citizens spend and shop like it's going out of fashion, with Australian consumer spending reaching highs of $246,800 million a year. When buying a product, most consumers look for the cheapest price above all else. Many of us don't stop to consider where the product has come from, let alone the conditions in which it was made. Sadly, during the process of production and disposal, often somebody is exploited. There are currently 21 million slaves in our modern world today. That is nearly the entire population of Australia. A slave is somebody who is forced to work, owned or controlled through abuse, dehumanized or treated as a commodity, without any freedom. This shocking figure doesn't even include those workers who are exploited, paid poorly and endure terrible conditions. According to the Trafficking Victims Report, child labour and/or forced labour takes place in 74 countries. Often we are supporting this unfair treatment of workers without even realising it. These popular shops and many more source their materials and raw products from those responsible for exploitation and even slave labour. Multinational corporations have significant power in developing nations, with their companies' assets often valuing more than the host country's national income. A fearful relationship is created. This unequal power distribution often leads to the overlooking of certain set standards, but also ensures that the employees have very little rights and almost no voice. For their government hears the voice of the multinational corporation much louder than that of the workers. It's not only the retail sector involved with this issue, but also departments of agriculture, fishing, forestry, manufacturing of goods, mining and pornography. It's not just the clothes you wear, but the food you eat, the furniture you relax on, the matches you light, the electronics you use. There are people working on cotton and cocoa plantations being paid less than a living wage and enduring abusive conditions. There are sweatshop workers that never see the sun because they work before sunrise and until after the sun is set to create these products for us. Our consumerism directly affects others. Unfortunately, developing nations pay for our consumeristic lifestyle in more ways than one. Much of what we buy is produced in their country. Think of all the plastic toys on the shelves in our shops, the goods in our households and all the cars on our roads. Now think about all it takes to make these items, the chemicals involved, the emissions produced, the fossil fuels burnt. China, one of our biggest producers, battles the serious issue of air pollution. Air quality is measured by the amount of small damaging particles in it, called PM 2.5. The World Health Organization states that the safe level of PM 2.5 is 10 to 25 micrograms per cubic meter. Yet China sees levels of up to 400 micrograms per cubic meter in their air. The extreme damage that production does to China's environment isn't even to pay for their own society's lifestyle, but that of the Western world. The process doesn't stop here. After we have finished with our goods, we export the waste back to those developing nations. Australia exports more than 4.4 million tonnes of waste each year, with China, Hong Kong and Vietnam being the main receivers. These developing nations don't have the means to dispose of waste in a safe and environmentally friendly way. Therefore, once again, their environment is damaged because of us. As such an advantaged nation, we have the money and resources to see our own waste disposed of effectively and safely, and yet we don't, because we don't have to. For we have the money and the power to, rather than deal with our issue of waste disposal, ship it off to a nation that has less power than us. The power gap between Western nations and developing nations is widening, because rather than promote change and development, we promote selfish gain, wealth and consumerism, never stopping to consider the real cost. Despite the role that government and corporate powers have, we too play a role in this cycle. As consumers, we have power. Businesses supply what we demand. If we begin demanding ethically sourced goods, we eventually will be supplied with ethically sourced goods.